Ladies and gentlemen, federal employees, welcome back to today's episode. Today we're talking about your FEGLI and how, if you elect certain elections at retirement time, you can potentially keep your FEGLI insurance into retirement for free. That's right, we like that magic word. That is my favorite price of all time. It is free. Now, not everyone is eligible for this. I'll talk through exactly how this works. But if you are new here, welcome. Great to have you. My name is Dallin Hawes. I'm a financial planner who serves federal employees just like you every single day to help you guys retire comfortable and confident. And again, today we're talking about your life insurance, your FEGLI. Now, I've got lots of videos on FEGLI. If you don't know how FEGLI works, I would definitely go check out some of my other videos that are going to go over some of the broad options that you have as a federal employee. But today is going to be focused on one of the options and what it does for you in retirement. Okay. But before I dive into that one option, which today we're talking about FEGLI Basic, you have to understand that there's actually 4 different types of FEGLI. When I say FEGLI, or your federal employee group life insurance, I'm talking about the life insurance you can pay for through your paychecks, through your job as a federal employee, and you'll be covered under life insurance. Now, again, there's 4 different parts. What I'm going to focus on today is FEGLI Basic. However, there's FEGLI A, B, and C. FEGLI A is $10,000 worth of coverage, right? It's I don't know why it's only $10,000, but that's the only amount you can get for FEGLI A, okay? FEGLI B is the one where you can get a multiple of your salary, up to 5 times your salary. FEGLI C is when you can get a small amount of coverage on your spouse and your children's lives. You can't get very much, but you can get some. So if you want more information about all those parts, definitely go check those out. Today, I'm talking about Basic, FEGLI Basic, which is about your salary's worth of coverage. So if you have if your salary is $100,000 and you died, your family would get about $100,000 worth of coverage. That is the basic one we're talking about. Now, there is a way to keep FEGLI Basic into retirement for free, but again, not everyone can. It's not the default option. There's a couple things you have to do if you want to keep it into retirement and not have to pay premiums for the rest of your life. And these options are elected when you retire. When you fill out your retirement application, there's going to be a form where it asks you, hey, what life insurance do you have and which do you want to keep into retirement? Now, if you want to see some visuals, go back to my website, and if you find the article that has the exact same name as this video or podcast, then you can find the article where there's some visuals on the actual page of the retirement application where you're filling this out. But long story short, under the section that talks about FEGLI Basic, which that's the type of FEGLI we're talking about, it asks you, hey, what do you want to do with it in retirement? And there is one option that is called 75% reduction, okay? You might have never heard of that, but now you have. It's called 75% reduction. And that is the option you'd want to elect if you want to take the option we're going to talk about today, okay? And as you might imagine, it's called 75% reduction. So there's going to be changes in retirement by electing this, but this is probably one of the most common elections I see on retirement applications for FEGLI. Now, I'm not saying it makes sense for everyone. I'm not saying it makes sense for you. I'm just saying it's common, it's popular, okay? It doesn't mean it makes sense for you, but it is common for many, many people. And let me talk you through, if you do elect FEGLI Basic 75% reduction, if you elect that, what happens? How does that work? Well, this is how it works. Basically, if you retire under age 65, okay, any time before age 65, then whatever you're paying currently right now for FEGLI Basic, let's say it's $30 a month, you're going to continue paying that $30 a month until age 65. So let's do an example. Let's say you're 57 and you retire as a federal employee. If you pick FEGLI Basic 75% reduction, then you're going to continue paying that $30 a month every month from 57 till 65 for those 8 years. Okay, at 65, the premiums then go away. You don't have to pay for it anymore. But at age 65, the coverage amount starts to go down. It reduces every month by a little bit until it gets down to 25% of whatever the coverage amount was before. So, for example, let's say you retired and your salary was $100,000. Well, we know then FEGLI Basic covers about $100,000 worth of life insurance. That's how much it is. So from age 57 when you retire and between 57 and 65, you are going to have that full $100,000 worth of coverage, or whatever your salary was at retirement. You're going to have that full amount during that time because you're paying full premiums during that time. However, At age 65, you don't have to pay for it anymore. The premiums go away forever for the rest of your life, but the coverage amount then goes down to 25% of whatever it was before. So for example, if your salary was 100 grand, it's going to go down to about $25,000 of coverage. So what would happen at 65 is it would be free forever, but you'd have $25,000 worth of coverage for the rest of your life. Now, I know it's not a ton, but it's something. It's something. Now, let's do another example. What if you retired at 65 or later? How would this work for you? Well, what would happen is you would stop paying premiums immediately, right? Your coverage would start reducing down to 25% immediately, right? So if your salary is 100 grand, your coverage would go down to 25 grand immediately, or it'd start that process immediately. However, the premiums would go away immediately. So if you want to retire, not pay another dime into the system and have at least some coverage into retirement and you're 65 plus, boom, then FEGLI Basic 75% reduction option could make a ton of sense for you. Now, I know many of you that are going to retire, you're going to retire before 65. So does it make sense for you, let's say you retire at 60 years old, to pay for it between 60 and 65, knowing it's going to go down in coverage amount at 65? Does that still make sense? Then let's just do a simple example to see if it does, okay, to see if it does. So let's say it costs you, let's say $35 a month. Okay, $35 a month, which for average federal employee is probably pretty close, okay? Let's say it costs you $35 a month. Now, if you want to find out how much it's costing you, look at your pay stub and you're going to find an option that says FEGLI, maybe FEGLI Basic. There's different ways it shows up on pay stubs, but find the option there that's for FEGLI Basic and you'll see how much it's costing you every 2 weeks. And of course, you could change that to a monthly number if you want to use it in the example we're going to talk about right now. So let's say again you pay $35 a month. You're retiring at 60, so you'd have to continue paying that $35 a month from 60 to 65. That's 5 years of paying that. Okay, so $35 a month every year. That's just a little under $400. Okay, little under $400. So you'd be paying about, let's call it $400 a year for 5 years, okay? So let's say you pay $2,000 between age 60 when you retire and age 65 when the premiums would go away, okay? You're gonna be paying, again, about $2,000 during that time. So you pay $2,000 into the system, and then at 65, let's say your salary is about 100 grand, then you'd have 25 grand worth of coverage for the rest of your life. So if we look at it as an investment, you put 2 grand in the first 5 years and you get $25,000 worth of coverage for the rest of your life. $2,000 in and 25 grand out. Okay, not a bad deal. However, I know that is a very simple example, but I just wanted to illustrate how this sort of thing can show up in real life. I've seen that sort of example show up many, many times where often you've paid for it for your entire career, or paid for it for a few more years is totally fine, right? It's probably worth it depending on your situation. Now, I understand that some people don't need any life insurance at all. And if that's you, then maybe just get rid of it. Maybe if you're single and there's no place you really want this money to go to, then that $2,000 during the 5 years that you'd pay into the system really wouldn't be worth it at all. Okay. Now, again, the numbers and the examples I'm sharing today, they're just examples. It's just kind of rough numbers that your numbers would roughly look like if you made about 100 grand a year. Okay. So if you don't make about 100 grand a year, throw in your own numbers for sure. Just so you know, those aren't going to be your numbers every single time. It just depends on your salary and what coverage you actually have. Okay. So I hope that's helpful. Again, the FEGLI Basic option and the 75% reduction option I'm talking about, it doesn't make sense for everyone, but food for thought. It's a very popular option for those retiring, especially as you approach 65. It becomes more and more of a no-brainer. Again, if you're retiring at 65 or later, it is almost a no-brainer. Sometimes you may want more life insurance, that's totally fine. But even if you don't need life insurance at all, if you're retiring at 65 or later, well, it's free for the rest of your life once you retire at that time. So I hope that's helpful. Again, if you want some visuals, go back to my website, hawesfederaladvisors.com. Find the article that is associated with this. It has the exact same title as this video, and you'll find all the references and have things in writing as well. So I hope that's helpful. Have an incredible rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time.